Hello everyone, back here at Bett. This time we've got John Nichols from the Tutors Association joining us. Hello John, how are you? You all right?
Hi, really nice to see you, Andy. Really good to be here with the CPD TV.
Thank you. It's great to have you here. Cheers for your time. So tell us about you, all right, and then also tell us about the Tutors Association and what you guys do out there in the education sector.
Yeah, so my name's John Nichols. I'm president of the Tutors Association. I've been president since 2020. We've seen an enormous amount of change in that time. I used to be a teacher many years ago, left the teaching sector and went in. I was working for an educational charity. After working for an educational charity, I then worked as a professional tutor for several years. I also created a character education course and a tech platform, not for the faint-hearted. That's a bit of a challenge, but I've been a tutor for all that period of time, and I still, even now, have one or two students who I still teach. But just keeps me really current, so I'm really up to date with what's going on in the sector. I'm still doing it.
Fantastic.
I'm still grounded in what the sector's actually like. So the Tutors Association, what it is a professional body. We represent the tuition sector as a whole. So that includes tuition companies and individual tutors. We also have affiliate partners. They are the people that supply the tuition sector. They're publishers, they're tech platforms. They offer any kind of educational training service. There might be virtual classrooms, you name it. And the whole objective for us, the entire tuition sector, is just a spontaneous private sector provision that arises when there's not enough education provision elsewhere in the education system.
Yeah.
So we see it as our mission, first and foremost, to maintain appropriate minimum standards and promote best practice.
Fantastic.
And obviously it's a key reason why we're collaborating with you guys, because we're really keen to see that accreditation, that recognition of what people are doing is there. The other elements of what we do, we're representatives for the tuition sector in the UK and around the world. We work with several governments around the world, including the Department for Education, Department for Business and Trade, and other departments in the UK. And then the other aspect of what we do is we then provide support for our members. So we have a lot of the standard kind of things that you'd expect from a membership body, a free legal helpline, discounts on this, that and the other. But what we also do there is we've got innovative ideas about how we can then promote our members, including, for example, our international partner program that's just been launched, which sees members access the global education market as a fully integrated part of that system.
Yeah.
And what we see as our role, we don't pick winners and losers, we don't endorse one product over another. We are there to promote a highly efficient and effective global market for education, education and training. It could be at any level, from the very top, from higher education all the way down to early years.
Yeah.
And what we do is we then encourage innovative practices within education. Many of our tuition businesses are small. They're agile. So they can adapt very, very quickly. They can respond. For example, during COVID, they responded by switching almost all tuition online within 4 weeks. When schools were struggling, obviously.
I can quite imagine,
And the whole purpose of that is to make sure that students, at the end of the day, have the educational provision they need. And it can be in special educational needs. It can just be catch up because they're falling behind. It can be alternative provision with local authorities, and it can be international. So that's a bit about what we do.
Super. Well, that's great insight. Thanks very much. So, when you're consulting with your members and the tutors and the tuition organisations, what do you hear is like the biggest challenges that they're facing in terms of professional standards and recognition?
Yeah, there's a couple actually, and it's a really good question. One of the first things is that the tuition sector is so diverse and broad. We're dealing with people that teach flute, people that teach IGCSE chemistry, people that can teach like 11 plus English, people that are teaching global finance to higher education. So you can imagine that really diverse range of educators, they don't have a single homogenous need.
Of course.
And so what we often experience is that different people have different requirements. Now, some of those requirements have a consistent strand, like safeguarding, for example. We offer free safeguarding training to all our members.
Fantastic.
That's really important to us. Safeguarding and minimum standards are the cornerstone of our purpose. But also we want to be there to enable, with the CPD group, for example, the provision of a wide range of training to cater for every aspect within the tuition sector, whether it's in companies or individual tutors, to enable them to get the skills they need to adapt and to innovate in a highly dynamic world. Lots of new technologies, lots of new processes. It could be anything from business to the teaching side and pedagogy to the use of technology. And we want to make sure that everyone in that really diverse mix has got access to the training they need, and you're an integral part of that for us.
Fantastic, fantastic. So, I mean, you must see a whole wide range of different kind of delivery methods, and as you've said there, the broad spectrum of the tutors that you have in your membership portfolio. So, what are the kind of exciting innovations that you're seeing out there at the moment in terms of professional development and quality assurance?
Yeah, it is really interesting, because we are seeing a lot of innovation at rapid pace within the tuition sector.
Yeah.
And we're really encouraging of that within a safe framework, obviously within those standards, within those professional standards. We are really encouraging people to try out new ways of doing things. Again, with that backdrop of safety, we want to make sure everything follows that professionalism. People are up front with their parents. They can't just be using students as guinea pigs without actually the students and the parents understanding what is the process, what are we going through here. But there are lots of tutors that are really interested in using AI and using AI tools and using Agentic AI, and they can have discussions with technology partners. They can try and pilot technology partners within a couple of weeks, and they could potentially be adopting something within a month and a half. And they need the training and they need the understanding of how they can best do that in a safe and carefully implemented way. Almost all tutors that we ever meet, and especially all of our members, they're conscientious. They want to make sure they're doing the right thing. They really have a need and a concern for getting the right CPD, getting the right support and training to be able to do that.
Yeah, fantastic, yeah. So as you mentioned, you are a professional body, the Tutors Association, recognised by government, quite an established professional body from what I understand as well. So what are the main kind of focuses and the issues that you solve for your members, and how does your membership model kind of really help the sector?
Yeah, that's really interesting. So believe it or not, we actually only founded in 2013.
Right.
And a lot of the innovations and a lot of the changes have been since 2022, and there was a huge modernisation process. So a lot of this has been produced at fairly rapid pace, and we've grown extremely well over the last 2 or 3 years, partly in response to that. But I think what we're seeing is members have got several interlinked concerns. Number one, the tuition sector is a very lonely sector outside of the professional body and outside of networks, because there's no normal process by which tutors necessarily have to work with anybody else. They're working directly with clients. They don't have a staff room or colleagues in the same way that teachers in a school do. So one of the first things we do is we provide events. And we were really pleased this year, for example, to have the CPD group accredit the training that was provided at our National Tutors Conference in 2025. That was really invaluable to people to get that recognition for the courses they're actually doing, for the sessions they're attending, and for the skills they're developing as they're going through that process. And at the same time, they're using that as a networking opportunity.
Yeah,
we're seeing people join training opportunities, and they want to engage with other people who are like-minded. They have a commitment to standards. They have a commitment to good practice, and that's really exciting. So that networking element, which goes alongside the training, is really important for us. But on top of that, things like our international partner program mean that we can break down the barriers for tutors to work internationally and to be integrated into international education markets. Whether that's working with schools, so schools increasingly looking at hybrid education models. They've got some of their teaching is taking place online, and they can now tap into some of the most innovative providers in the world through TTA membership.
Fantastic.
And the international partner program for schools is completely free, and for other commercial entities that want to bring that to their own market, so that we can facilitate that effective marketplace for really good quality educational services. And underpinning all of that has got to be the skills.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
we make sure that across the board, the tutors have got access to the skills they need. And as we've touched on already, there's a really diverse mix of tutors out there, so that's a really complex picture. And actually maintaining that and promoting that on an ongoing basis is a key part of what we do.
Fantastic. So as an organisation as well, you have I'm reading here actually, over 100 accredited CPD courses of your own that you deliver out to your membership. And you've got your flagship events like the conference you mentioned, and you've got the National Tutoring Awards and everything as well. So what does the future of professional training and tutoring look like to you?
Yeah, that is really interesting, because you're absolutely right. We do have our own accredited courses, sort of small courses, which they're bite-sized, they're micro courses, so people can tap into what it is they need. But what we're looking to do in future are built on the model of what we've done with our safeguarding provision. We've got free safeguarding training for all members. There's no barrier for that. Once you're a member, you've got immediate access to free safeguarding training. At a small additional cost, we actually provide dedicated designated safeguarding lead training.
Lovely.
So these are for the people in any particular tuition business where they're going to take that safeguarding lead role, and that is obviously a much more involved role, which has far higher requirements in terms of the standards and the knowledge, and obviously legal requirements as to how to deal with situations where students are at risk, and we want to make sure that every different tuition organisation has got the ability to deal with that. But the next steps for us are to say, well, look, we've got these models already. How are we expanding those successful models to offer the other services, the other training and support that our membership really need? And the things like working internationally, complying with regulations, pedagogical techniques, these are all really important things for us, areas where we're really interested at amplifying our impact on members, making sure they have those skills and bringing them to the next level.
Right, fantastic. So the tutoring sector itself seems to have grown massively over the last few years. Okay, so, and you know, there's lots of different kind of tools and digital kind of access now, and all these various kind of innovations that are hitting the marketplace to support, you know, the delivery of learning. So what do you think, and what have your members maybe mentioned to you that technology hasn't really yet found a solution for in terms of training and tutoring?
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of technological development. I mean, AI is obviously one of the areas where people are really interested, but it's also, there's a process by which not all of that technology has got obvious, fully matured use cases yet. There is an element of experimentation going on. Obviously, it needs to take place within an ethical framework, so people are very conscious about how they do that in a way that is ethical and is managing those standards and making sure that we're delivering a positive impact. There is a lot of interest in seeing what are the opportunities. Now, obviously, there are people that have developed AI tutors. That's not really what we see as being a concern, or what we really see as the main opportunity going forward is tutors that are empowered to use AI tools, to use other technology tools, VR and these kinds of things, to be able to capitalise on opportunities to make a bigger impact on learners where there were previously problems. So, for example, we've got lots of tutors that are specialists in special educational needs. There are ways now people are using VR to engage with students with special educational needs that isn't necessarily possible with pen and paper.
Absolutely.
And there are tutors and tuition companies now saying, how can we use Agentic AI to make sure that students have always got support, even when the tutor's not available between lessons? How are we making sure they have access to the right support they need? Ultimately, where this is all pointing to is a globally integrated education system where the right provision is available for every child.
Absolutely.
And that is an incredibly complicated thing to try and achieve. We don't believe that it's just going to be schools by themselves that can do that. And we believe that the private sector provision, through an efficient, managed and facilitated marketplace with that regulation and that backstop of those standards and skills, that is really the way it's going to be achieved in the next coming decade.
It sounds like a big mission, that one.
A very big mission, not one for the light-hearted, but we're ambitious in what we're trying to achieve.
Absolutely.
We're not ashamed or concerned about the role we have. Tuition used to be referred to as the shadow education sector. Well, it's not in the shadows anymore.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're quite open now about exactly what tuition is. How does it work? We were collaborating with the DfE on the Department for Education for their National Tutoring Programme. That's now finished. We are consistently advocating for public funding for relevant students that need it to be dedicated to tuition programs that can give them the skills they need. Tuition is incredibly flexible and responsive, and that's the main advantage it has. And that responsiveness obviously means that the tutors themselves have to be flexible, and that relies on them having the skills to draw upon at any given point in time to capitalise on an opportunity for that student to make more progress, or to deal with a concern in an appropriate way, or to plan and deliver a course. And this is how we see the quality of education being improved. We're leading the way on innovation, and we're happy to see those tutors go and take that back into the classroom, to collaborate directly with schools and share best practice, to collaborate with each other and share best practice. And ultimately, the outcomes for students are the core heart of what we're doing. Yeah,
absolutely. Sounds like you're doing some great work out there, John. Excellent. So, you know, considering what you've just mentioned there in terms of the tuition kind of sector coming to the fore, you know, and being so important out there for young people and, you know, other people who need that kind of extra support through tutoring, etc. Why do you think CPD is so important for the industry? You know, you have an extensive CPD catalogue yourself, as you mentioned, those short courses. You know, why do you think it's important that the tutors keep up with their own CPD?
So, tutors, unlike teachers, they don't get told they've got to do a certain amount of CPD. They are individual professionals, and it is up to them. What CPD are they taking, when are they taking it, and what is their reason and rationale for doing that? And we believe that by creating the environment in which it is expected as a standard that they will go and they will improve their own skills, that promoting best practice, for example, with our National Tutoring Awards, where we're actually looking to identify who's doing a fantastic job in the tuition sector, how are they doing that, what is it they're bringing to the tuition sector, and what innovative approaches or high standards are they putting in place. We are looking to see that tutors take responsibility for their own learning and decide for themselves, because they are well placed to make decisions about what is the next step for them as a professional.
Absolutely.
And CPD is an integral part of that. We don't run a one-size-fits-all training program. That's never going to be realistic for us. What we're looking to do is to make sure that every tutor has the right available skills, standards and courses in order to be able to develop their own skills, to be able to decide that for themselves, and to make decisions as to how they're going to become an outstanding tutor and how they're going to reach that best practice that we're really trying to push everyone to aspire to. And it's great to see that within the UK, and especially around the world where we've got a high concentration of members, that is really pushing people to develop that quality as a cornerstone of their competitiveness.
Fantastic. So in terms of, tutors taking part in CPD, do you hear any kind of misconceptions, any common misconceptions that tutors, in the industry, those independent tutors who don't think that formal education's necessary for them anymore, do you hear any misconceptions around the CPD kind of courses that they are taking or the need for it?
Surprisingly, not very much. And I think the reason for that is because we're very keen to try and explain to people, you've got the freedom and you're not under bureaucratic requirements to meet standard X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
That's been taken away from you, and often they've come from a teaching background where they have had to comply with a set of standards. They've had to demonstrate evidence against this, and this. What we're doing now is saying, look, you've got the ability to pick and choose where your requirements are for additional training in CPD.
Yeah.
Where are your own needs for professional development? What is it you want to do? And that's partly going to be determined by their current practice. What do they currently teach? What do they need to be able to know to be able to do that better? And partly it's determined by their view of their own future. What do they want to specialise in? If they want to take on new technologies, that's going to have a skills requirement. They are the best placed people to do that. We are not going to turn around and start telling this tutor or that tutor what they need to do.
Yeah.
We're going to be there to encourage that really healthy ecosystem where they can make those decisions for themselves and they can go and get that CPD whenever they need it from wherever it comes, and make sure they can implement that effectively on their own timescale. And that'll be different for every tutor.
Yeah.
And individualism and that flexibility of provision with that backstop of safe standards that is really important to us is what makes the tuition sector so innovative, and it's what makes it be able to innovate at a more rapid pace than, for example, schools or in universities.
Absolutely.
The buying cycles are short and they're making the decisions themselves and moving very quickly.
Yeah. So as the leader of the association then, tell us a little bit about your own experience of CPD. Tell us a bit about a CPD course, for example, or the most impactful CPD that you've taken part in personally.
Oh, I've really enjoyed. I've always been a person that loves learning, right? I'm not someone that thinks that knowledge should be left to Google and ChatGPT to provide. I think actually no one has ever turned around to me and said, "Oh, well, as a tutor, you know too much. I'm not really into that." But they're always impressed if you can explain to them the causes of the First World War or the light-dependent reaction of photosynthesis off the top of your head, and you get that and you understand that properly, or quantum mechanics, whatever it might be. Knowledge is an extremely important part of a tutor's skill set.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I've taken part in loads of CPD over the years. Safeguarding training has obviously has been really important to make sure we understand how it's evolving, how that is changing over time. Obviously, it does change. Legislation does change. And I've really enjoyed taking part in CPD around new technologies. Yeah. I use new technologies for my day-to-day life as a tutor and as running the association, and being able to understand different perspectives, different models, different options in terms of what agentic AI is now, what it could become, how it could be used, risks, benefits, all of this sort of thing is what I'm really interested in. And I've really enjoyed and I've been privileged to work with people who've also developed CPD. To really understand their expertise and how they are using that to design a course structure or a CPD session structure, and around the knowledge and skills they have, being able to put that into something which becomes accessible and impactful for the tutors that they're going to work with.
Absolutely. So in terms of those courses that those tutors are developing, I mean, what do you think, what do you think the role of accreditation plays within that?
Accreditation is key, and especially as we look to work more and more around the world. We're looking at the Middle East, we're looking at the Far East, we're looking at Africa, we're looking at the Americas. What becomes ever more important is the level of trust. Qualifications and accreditation exist to almost engender trust in those courses and in that system. And that trust is a really important part that underpins it. The person who sees you've got an accredited CPD and you've done that, they probably weren't in that session with you. They don't know what you exactly did. They don't necessarily know what that quality is unless they can see a recognised accreditation mark, unless they can recognise what is the standard that's being pegged against. And that's really, really important. Not only in the UK, around the world. It's in really high demand that being able to identify and trust that CPD has been done properly and done well is a really key part of what's going on around the world in terms of education and training. And we're increasingly seeing a move towards professionals taking shorter, smaller courses, and they're not traditional 3-year degrees necessarily in the same way, and master's degrees. Now, they are still obviously going ahead, but people aren't going to do a master's degree in something which might be moving very quickly, which is a relatively small, narrow skill set.
Yes.
So they'll be doing that as a CPD exercise, a CPD course, and that accreditation is giving the recognition that it's portable and can be then recognised around the world and around other organisations. Oh, yeah, we understand what this person's done. We understand that this can be trusted, and we understand what it means. And that's what's really important about the accreditation, which is why we're really happy to work with the CPD group.
Brilliant. Well, John, that's a perfect place to leave it. Thank you very much for joining us. It's been enlightening. And good luck to you and your colleagues at the Tutors Association with the mission that you're on, because, as you say, it's a big mission that's going on there, isn't it?
We're ambitious enough, but thanks very much for having me, Andy.
Fantastic, fantastic. So if you are a tutor and you're out there, go and have a look at the Tutors Association, see what benefits that they can offer you, and have a look at their membership deals and see what's going on, and see how John and his team can help you. All right, thanks very much. Bye-bye.